right, I'll go ahead and get started. Our call to order the Election Commission meeting, 6:01. And for the record, we have Commissioner Moody, Commissioner Workman, Commissioner Malatu, and Commissioner Kish. Thank you. I'm City Clerk Kristen Rosenbaum, and we have City Attorney Tammy Yellico, Glenda Linas, Policy Planning Manager, and Thomas DePurio, Planner. And next on the agenda is audience participation. We have not received any additional emails, and so that's why you don't have anything in your packet. But this is a time that if anyone would like to address the commission to provide comments on our ward redistricting, they can do that. We do not have anyone in the audience, and so it looks like there's a couple people online. If there's anyone online who would like to address the commission, they can press their raise hand button or *9, and we can unmute them so that they can provide their comments. All right, and it looks like no one has raised their hand, so we'll move on to our action items. First is approval of the minutes. So those have been included in your packet. You're going to have a chance to take a look at those. So at this time, I would entertain a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is a discussion of the presentation of Alternative 7 to the City Council. All right. And so we'll just talk about, again, no additional public input has been provided on the recommended alternative. So we'll go through what I've put together as a draft presentation and kind of the talking points that we can go through. And if there's any changes, modifications that the commission would like to make, we can make those changes and then talk about how it will be presented, who would like to have speaking parts and which point. We can put together and have actually started putting together a script for the commission members. Or if you would like just talking points, whichever works better for you. And then we'll talk about next steps when we'll actually present this to the council. And so the first slide here, we generally start with a purpose and agenda slide for all of our presentations to council. And so the purpose of the presentation is to give the recommendation for ward boundaries. And the agenda, we would go over the considerations. That is the list that the commission first was presented of the factors that have to be taken into consideration when forming the recommendation. The city council has heard these criteria. The city attorney presented that several weeks ago, and so this would be a reminder to them, and just so that we're all on the same page of those considerations. Then we would provide background on what the election commission has done, the meetings, kind of a background summary of each of our meetings, and public information that has been provided and input that has been received, and then go into the actual recommendation and rationale for our recommendation. So first, the considerations. This is a slide that everyone here has seen and the council has seen, and so it would be briefly going through all of these and what we're looking for in each of these bullet points. And then the election commission meetings on June 28th was our kickoff meeting, and we reviewed the objective criteria, which was on the previous slide. July 11th, we received public comments through email, and there were no public comments during audience participation, but
I don't think so. I think it was the next time, wasn't it?
actually, it wasn't the first meeting. There was no public comment. The second meeting, I think there was public comment. And then 5 scenarios were reviewed. Anyway, we'll get the facts straight. And then the election commission decided to eliminate 2 of the scenarios and provided some feedback to go and look at some additional scenarios based mostly on socioeconomic status and some of that. July 27th, we received additional public comments through email and through audience participation, and reviewed the original 3 scenarios and 2 additional scenarios, and came to consensus and voted on recommending alternative number 7. And then tonight, August 10th, reviewed, and then we can modify the slide to say finalized or whatever additional that we do tonight.
Kristen, the emails or in a summary of public comment, that'll be in the packet?
Yes,
Mhm.
yep, that's the plan. The summary of the comments that were provided during audience participation and the emails that were submitted will put in the packet for council to see. So as far as public information and input, we have had a website posted from the beginning that included the meeting notices, times, dates, locations, Zoom links, documents, the agendas, the packets, the maps, and recordings of the previous meetings so that the public can go back and take a look at or listen to any of the previous meetings. And then also the redistricting process and criteria, same information that has been provided to the commission members here, how to provide public input. And then as we have progressed, we've first had the alternatives posted and then provided information of when the 2 were eliminated and 2 additional alternatives were added. And then most recently that the Election Commission has a recommendation, and that recommended map is on our website along with all of the others that the Election Commission considered. And then at each step, we've been posting to social media when the alternatives have been available, when additional alternatives were available, and when the recommendation was available. And then again, we can go through the comments that were received, kind of a summary through email, in person, and Zoom.
Can I ask a question that's
Sure.
not related to this? I'm just surprised. I was not aware where to find this information if I was in here. And I talked to some of my neighbors.
Mhm.
They did not know anything about it. How to even, like, in the future, how to get the community to be involved. Because my sister did not know about it, and she is super involved in the community. She served in different committees. I'm just wondering, how do people get this information?
So we posted it on our website. We've been putting the meeting notices on the community calendar. We've been sending out posts through Facebook and Twitter and Nextdoor. And so, yeah, if there's suggestions for future outreach, we can take a look at that. But those are the avenues we've been using.
We have like a physical paper, right? Thornton,
The City Voice.
yeah,
Mhm,
is
yes.
it in there?
It is not in there
That
because
might be,
of the timing of being able, we've been kind of moving.
There's a big lead time.
Yes.
It's a big lead
Publication.
time. Yeah, we're just putting together articles for December right now.
okay,
It is really difficult. We do a lot of that for our community meetings for planning, and just as people think, well, why don't you send a notice out to everybody? And we've sent notices out to everybody in the city, and it can reach $10,000. So that's really expensive, and you got to kind of consider, is that worth the money for outreach? Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. So that is the challenge. It's the big challenge. Any suggestions? Absolutely.
And definitely, whenever council passes the ordinance to make the change on these boundaries, notice would be sent out to the affected individuals that are changing ward, but then also notice out to on social media and in the City Voice, because we'll have the opportunity with the lead time to be able to get that information out.
And there will be a public hearing as a part of that process where they can take public comment.
before it's finalized.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and so at this slide, the commission can go into what the actual changes are. This kind of gives the side-by-side overall picture. And then this slide zooms in on really the changes that the commission is recommending. And so going through each of those areas, basically like Thomas did for the commission and which precincts would be moving and the subdivisions and that kind of thing, and the population deviation. And then the last slide is the bullet point rationale for why this alternative and how it meets each of the criteria. And then some additional kind of justification for this alternative versus other ones, such as keeping original Thornton in Ward 1 and those things like that. So are there questions, comments, suggested edits from the commission? All right, so then going back, we can talk about who would like to present each piece. If the commission is okay with it, I would like to start at the first slide and introduce the item and the purpose of why we're here and the agenda, and then have the commission introduce themselves. And then next slide, is there a volunteer that would like to present this piece?
Do we have a date first?
Yes, we can either, there were two dates that we were looking at, either September 6th or September 27th. Are all of the commission members available for those? I think you said you're not available for the 6th. Okay,
I'm not,
27th?
I'm not available on the 27th.
Not?
I am on the
Okay.
6th.
All right. What about September 13th?
I'm not available that day.
Okay. October 4th?
No, that's fine.
4th?
Yes.
October 4th?
Sure. If the majority goes with it, I'll go with it.
Okay.
I should be good on the 4th.
Thomas, Linda,
Oh, wait,
does the
that-
4th work?
Yeah.
I think the 4th of work, let me double check. Yep, the 4th works for me.
Okay. It's a little bit outside of what our kind of time frame that we had told the council about, but that's okay. We can, I think we were planning for a September recommendation, but that's all right. We can do October 4th, and maybe that'll give us some time to get some more input.
Wait, if we get more input, and then do we need to change anything?
Not necessarily, that would just be additional input for the council to consider at that time. I mean, if we get like a large amount of input between now and then I may ask to call another election commission meeting to get us in a room to talk about that. If it seems like it may change the recommendation of the commission.
Or council may ask the commission to go back
Or
and do
right.
something.
So, okay. All right, so on this slide, who was it that?
Yeah,
We
Sure.
both volunteered, but I don't mind either way.
I don't care either way.
Okay. So. All right, then we have the commission meetings slide. And this may work well to go with the public information and input, both of those slides together. If there's a volunteer for present those two slides. All right,
Some of the newer members. that-
Oh, no. I prefer
I
to
don't
not
mind
talk.
doing it. Yeah, I'll do it.
I don't need to be talking as much. don't need to.
All right, what about the current ward boundaries and recommended ward boundaries, talking really about the changes, basically these two slides and what, the recommended change would be, not necessarily the rationale for the change.
Just talking about the precinct, like 106 and 109.
Right,
and
the,
130.
yes, yeah, yeah.
When there's, that's the minimum I can talk.
Okay.
If there's any less, then I'll take that one. I'll switch it to whatever.
All right, and then the rationale for alternative 7. Commissioner Kish, did you want to take that one?
Sure.
Okay. Don't want to force you into anything.
Want to give the newer members of the commission a chance, since I've done this twice.
No? Huh? No? Okay. All right, well, then we already talked about a date, neither the 6th nor the 27th, but we're looking at October 4th. And so that would be at 5:45 here in this room. And it would be the first on the agenda. Let me make sure that there's. I think we would plan to have it first on the agenda, so it would be some of the formalities, reviewing the agenda and everything, but then the first briefing would be the election commission. It's usually set up in a kind of a big circle with the council sitting around this way and presenters this way. And so once the mayor calls the first briefing, then we would all come up to the front. We'll make sure there's enough chairs for everyone. And then prior to that, I'll send out a script so that with everyone's speaking parts, you can take a look at, you can read it and create your own bullet points if you'd like, or make suggested edits, or send to me, whatever you're more comfortable with. Do it that way. And then if there are any questions, really staff will kind of jump in. We won't expect any of the members to be able to respond to questions that may not be prepared for. So. Great. Are there questions about the presentation? All right. Well, then I'll move on to other matters. Are there any other matters the commission would like to talk about? All right, then.
Besides meeting, will we be meeting in fall select candidates? I'm trying to remember. Would we be meeting in the fall, just like the order of people running on the ballots?
Not
this
this
year.
year.
Not this year.
Right, not this year, it would be next year. Is there a desire for the council to have a post-meeting, post-council presentation meeting, a debriefing? Okay. All right, then, yeah, it would be the presentation to council, and then really the next meeting, unless there's a need for something else, would be 2023 when there's casting of lots. Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned at 6:20.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.